Guys, I watched Halloween 6, the producer's cut, and 5 minutes in, I had a full breakdown and had to go step outside. Are y'all kidding me? Y'all weren't sure which one I'd like better. I will always take the coherent bad movie over the incoherent one every single time. This isn't just a slightly different version. This is a version where the movie remembers that it's supposed to function like a movie. Is the cult stuff weird and dumb? Yes. But at least it makes sense. At least it's explained. It definitely feels like it was retrofitted because, well, it was. But this movie has setup and payoff, appropriately placed tension, scenes that flow naturally together, character development, and most importantly, accurate characterization of Michael. Scenes are allowed to breathe long enough for your brain to register what is happening, and we spend more than 5 seconds with characters so we actually know who they are before Michael kills them. I noticed this in the weirdest way. When I reviewed the theatrical cut, I was trying to grab screenshots, and half the shots I wanted only existed for like 3 frames before the movie cut away. This one, I can actually get my shots, not because they're different shots, but because they're allowed to exist long enough for my brain to register what I'm looking at. The kills are more like the earlier movies, too. They're not spectacle focused, they're tension focused, without Michael being weirdly cruel for no goddamn reason. And whoever made the theatrical version should be punished. They had a functional movie with some reasonably competent editing, and they turned it into that mess and charged people to see it? That is a crime. That is a crime. They didn't make a better movie. They made a shorter movie that somehow explains less, despite only being about 5 minutes shorter, and the characterization of Michael is this one huge change that bugs the hell out of me the most, because it's Michael. He is arguably the most important character in the movie. There are these tiny changes littered throughout the whole movie, and the tiny changes matter. They're the things people remember, even if they don't realize they're remembering them. Kane Hodder is memorable as Jason because of his breathing pattern, not because he swings the machete. Every Jason swings the machete. It's the breathing, the posture, the way he moves. Tiny performance choices become the character, and Michael is exactly the same way. If you keep cutting all of those little moments and then wondering why he suddenly feels off, well, that's why! The theatrical version feels incredibly rushed because of the editing, but somehow these movies are only like 5 minutes different in runtime. That is insane. I get not liking the movie. That's fine. If you don't like weird cult stuff, then yeah, you're gonna hate it. But the answer is to go watch a different movie, not cut out all the cult stuff. It's cult stuff all the way down. If you cut out all the cult stuff, you are left with a picked clean skeleton missing its marrow. In this version, you find out after Michael was broken out of jail by the cult at the end of 5, Jamie was also picked up and kept by the cult the whole time. So there was an explanation. The studio executives just didn't give a shit about it. Watching this movie was driving me insane because every 10 minutes I kept yelling, oh, there's an explanation. Oh, that's why Danny sees the Hat Man. Oh, that's why Michael went back to the house. Oh, that's why the baby matters. They cut all of it! The movie doesn't really change the plot until the ending, but the tone is completely different. It's back to the tension and the stalking and the blankness of Michael we have all known and loved. The kills are less gory, and the focus isn't on spectacle anymore, so John Boy doesn't explode into electrical special effects, he just dies. The focus is tension and suspense and waiting, like it has always been for these movies. Spectacle kills are a dime a dozen in slashers. Where Michael stands out is his tension and his stalking and his complete lack of visible emotion. They took that away. Why? So Michael and everyone he kills are essentially sacrifices to Samhain for prosperity. And the baby is the last of his bloodline needed to complete the sacrifice. And then after that, another child, Danny, who is obviously being groomed for it, will take his place for the next sacrifice. Do I appreciate the very strong implication that Michael sired his own great-great-grandnephew? I do not. But that's cult shit. It's part of the cult shit. The runes Tommy has been rambling on about the entire movie actually matter. The Thorn rune is being used to control Michael, and Tommy realizes if one rune can make him kill, maybe another rune can stop him. Is it a little stupid? Yeah, but it's stupid based on rules the movie actually established. That's a huge difference. Tommy still comes across as a complete lunatic until you realize he has spent 10 years obsessively researching this, so when he's rambling on about runes, it isn't just him shouting random nonsense. He's explaining the solution to the problem. It's still goofy, but goofy isn't the same as incoherent. Listen, slasher movies already struggle to make sense when your villain is basically supernatural. And this movie actually makes sense. The sense is dumb, but they explain the sense. Honestly, this movie makes more sense than Jason Goes to Hell. So all the other stuff happened roughly the same, just with better editing. And Michael returns to his house because he believes anyone living there is his family and he has to kill them. because of the rune, because the rune is controlling him. He needs to kill the baby because it's the last of his bloodline. Everyone ends up at the cult lair because they're all part of the ritual. Cause, effect, cause, effect. Imagine that. Kara and the baby are about to be sacrificed to Michael, but Tommy had it figured out the whole time. His insane rune ramblings were actually relevant. He gets everyone away from the cult and does his rune magic, and it actually works. As an aside, his runes are weird as hell looking. They look like petrified walnuts. I have runes. I mean, look at me. Of course I do. I have several sets of runes. Were any of you surprised? These are my favorite, though. Look, they're made of bone. The thorn one. Mine are just for funsies. As far as I know, mine don't control an unstoppable embodiment of evil. So Michael gets trapped inside Tommy's rune circle, and frankly, I think everyone is being incredibly optimistic, assuming that means he stopped instead of just paused. But okay. And then Dr. Wen, who's actually the cult leader in this version, decides to walk into the rune circle and start berating Michael. Bold strategy there, buddy. Michael immediately makes him change clothes. What exactly did that look like? Did Michael strip him, or did he take his clothes off himself? I have questions I don't want answers to. And then Loomis shows up, finds Wen in Michael's place, and now the thorn mark appears on Loomis. Loomis is infected with the thorn rune. He's always been obsessed with Samhain and talking like a theatrical villain in a Bond movie, so sure, I guess. Meanwhile, Michael escapes the cult's control entirely and disappears into the night. That's actually a perfectly fine ending. It's intentionally vague, but that's different than a bad ending. I don't even think this movie is secretly amazing. I don't think the cult mythology suddenly becomes brilliant. I still think
Power of the runes stopped him.
Is one of the goofiest lines in the franchise, and I still roll my eyes every time I hear the phrase placental fluid. And I still think the implications around baby Stephen are, ooh. But here's the thing, I understood it. I knew why people were doing things. I knew why Michael wanted the baby. I knew why he returned to the house. I knew what Tommy was trying to accomplish. That is the bare minimum a movie owes its audience. Oh my God. If nothing else, the existence of these two cuts prove how powerful good editing is. Editing is one of those things you only notice when it's either incredible or catastrophically bad. If it's doing its job, you don't even think about it. But editing dictates the tone, the tension, the pacing, the characterization, everything. You can have almost the exact same footage and create two completely different movies. I can only imagine some poor editor crying while making the theatrical cut as a studio executive stands behind him with a gun going, "No, no, make it worse.